This year marks the 40th anniversary of the Providence College dorm fire. To this day, it's one of the deadliest dorm fires in U.S. history. And the tragedy changed fire safety nationwide. Tonight, we talked to two firefighters who were there that night, pulling victims and survivors from the terrifying scene, and the president of Providence College, who was a student and there that night.
At the top of the news this day, the campus of Providence College has been a nightmarish scene since the early hours of this morning.
I mean, this is 40 years ago, and this is burned in my memory.
December 13th, 1977, the deadly Providence College dorm fire.
I'm never going to forget what happened that night.
The fire in Aquinas Hall, which killed 10 students, was contained to the 4th floor of the all-girls dormitory. 8 of the students died from either smoke inhalation or burns. 2 jumped to their deaths. More than a dozen people were injured, including one firefighter.
The mood among the students is one of shock, disbelief, and profound sorrow.
Investigators believe students drying wet mittens with a hairdryer in a closet ignited the flames, which fueled paper Christmas decorations that covered the walls of their room and the 4th floor hallway. Retired Assistant Chief for Operations Mike Dillon was just 24 years old and assisted with search and rescue, and says 3 girls were near a 4th floor window.
One of the firefighters was going up on the aerial ladder, stay there, and they jumped.
Retired Deputy Acting Assistant Chief Paul Thomas was stationed here on Branch Avenue and just came back from a fire when his engine was sent to PC. Once they arrived, Thomas went into the dorm and met up with another firefighter carrying out a student.
He passed her to me, and then I proceeded downstairs, and we didn't have radios in those days, so I just had to track down the rescue truck to find a place, to bring her to get her, to get medical attention.
That was the last time Thomas saw or heard from her.
I don't know who they were. I don't know exactly where this girl came from in the building, and I don't know if she survived, honestly. I think of it a lot.
The firefighters were the real heroes of that night. They put their lives on the line to try to save kids.
Providence College President Father Brian Shanley was a sophomore at PC in 1977. He lived across from Aquinas in Raymond Hall.
I've never forgotten that night, and I've never forgotten the sadness of the days that followed.
Did that fire change you?
Yeah, I mean, it's seared in my mind. When you're 18, 19-year-old, you think the world is your oyster and you're going to live forever, and all of a sudden you're confronted with sudden death, and it's traumatic.
Father Shanley tells me while the college has moved on to accomplish great things, he doesn't want anyone to ever forget that tragic night because it's a way to remember the students who died and the heroic actions of so many.
Only on Eyewitness News, the Providence College dorm fire. It was one of the deadliest dorm fires in U.S. history, and it happened 40 years ago next month.
The tragedy resulted in new laws and procedures to keep students safe, and officials hope what happened that night will never occur again. A tragic night, December 13, 1977, the deadly Providence College dorm fire. 10 girls died, 13 hurt, including a firefighter, after a fire on the 4th floor of Aquinas Hall.
The guys in my truck went up the aerial. I went in the building.
On Eyewitness News Live at 5, firefighter Paul Thomas recalled carrying a student out of the dorm and to a rescue. That night still haunts him today.
I don't know exactly where this girl came from in the building, and I don't know if she survived, honestly. I think of it a lot.
Acting Fire Marshal James Gumbly tells me while Aquinas Hall was up to code, students had no idea a fire was racing through the 4th floor.
In that building, there was no smoke alarms, there was no smoke detectors. It was code compliant at the time, but it was inadequate.
Rising from the ashes, critical changes that have been implemented in college dorms across the state. What kind of lessons did we learn from this?
We learned a lot of lessons. One, we had to improve the fire alarm systems in buildings. We learned sprinkler systems can save lives. We learned corridors cannot be too long. People have to have a chance to get out.
Marshal Gumbly tells me under today's code, smoke alarms within a dorm room are not required to be connected to a fire alarm system to reduce false alarms. However, there should be a heat detector or sprinkler head in each room, along with the corridor smoke detectors that will activate the fire alarm system and notify the fire department.
So when that alarm activates, the signal goes into the fire alarm. If somebody were to take off one of those smoke detectors in the corridor, it should indicate trouble at the fire alarm panel and make a noise.
New laws were also implemented by the Rhode Island legislature, including 4 fire drills each year. Plus, the use of hot plates and other cooking devices are not allowed. Gumbley says a working fire alarm system will help students get an early warning and a way to get out of the building.
Tragedies like this are a good example. It can happen to you. I think when you're young, you feel invulnerable. Nothing bad can happen to you, but it can.
Now, the marshal tells me educating people on fire safety starts in grammar school and should follow people the rest of their lives.